Is there anyone in the room? I think we'd love to be there, or is this more yourself or your organisation? I'm not quite sure what he's pushing up there, but it's going uphill and it's a bit of effort, yeah? So I think we all agree that there's a lot of more work to do. We're all getting our head around it. You could choose whatever the aspect is in terms of identification and control. And what I'm going to talk about today is just one aspect when we think about identifying controls and critical controls in relation to material unwanted events. And here we go. Okay, so hands up, who uses bow tie in their organisation? I think just about everyone, yes. So everyone's familiar with bow tie. This isn't in bow tie 101, but here's an example you can see here of a fictional bow tie, looking at loss of vehicle control being the thing in red. And over on the left-hand side as a refresher are the causes you can see in the dark blue box. And then over on the right-hand side in the red shaded text, there is around possible consequences. And in the middle, you can see preventive controls and critical controls. Preventive controls and mitigating controls there on the right-hand side. So generally, when we construct these things, when it comes to controls, we might do a brainstorm, we might do some other structured process. We also might look at a hierarchy of controls or something like that to work out what are the controls we've got there to put on these little horizontal lines. And what I wanted to just quickly throw out there is that we may be missing an opportunity. So, I do a lot of work across different sites. We may be missing an opportunity when it comes to identifying some of these controls, certainly in a bow tie context. So if we think about our standard bow tie template, could be more advanced or not. This whole concept about layers of protection analysis starts to look at the bow tie and the controls through a timeline aspect. So you can see there the blue arrows talking about, when you think about these preventative controls, there's a timeline there from, whatever it is up until the event. And then obviously from a mitigating control perspective, so if something goes wrong, what have we got in place to prevent that from going wrong? Those controls also have a timeline aspect as well. So if you dive into that deeper and we look underneath that blue arrow on the preventative side, there's some ideas here around this model which talks about, so the green, so controls that minimise exposure. So that could be years, months, days out from an event. In the middle, we've got controls that detect and deflect, so minutes or seconds. And then we've got those controls which are your last chance things, which could be seconds and milliseconds. And then similarly, if we start to look at the mitigating side, we can break that down into some categorisation as well, where we've got protection, again, so just after the event, it's like that timeline reversed. Protection soon after, isolation containment is there in those seconds, minutes and hours. And then we've got recovery and restoration, could be minutes, hours, days, or however long. Yeah? So that's the concept around this layers of protection analysis, really starting to construct that timeline analysis of those controls that you might have on those horizontal lines. And that's as complex as it is, from my perspective anyway. So there, in terms of practical takeaways, which is what we're all about, so the opportunity is, if you are involved in your bow ties or looking at controls and things like that, maybe have a squeeze to see, well, do we actually look at this, or can we have a look at this through our current bow ties? Does it actually create any controls we may have missed before or not identified? And then obviously in whatever your risk management process or documentation is, make that sustainable. Hey, how do you build that into your process? So if it's not you, someone else actually identifies that and is prompted for that particular assessment as well.